Yo, what's the word? What up, Stan? Oh, we got some real goats in here. I love it. Um, Gotta figure out. We got a lot of things we still trying to work out, but we gonna give it a couple seconds, I guess. Um, Stan, what up, G? Did I need Chris tune in right quick. Chris, get on the ground so I can lock you in right fast, bro. You're gonna need your phone. But what's going on? Like we've been announcing, this is just simply creatives talk. Um, we're not on here because we have all the answers. This is just a platform where we could really just talk, where we could, all right, here we go, where we could talk, get some things out there, share some information where we can just help each other out. This is a way different kind of time. Am I going to have to mute one of these? Um, I can grab my AirPod. So we just want to be able to create a platform where creatives can get together, bounce ideas off of each other, kind of create. And so that's all this is about. Just nothing crazy, nothing special at all. Um, and today, of course, I got one of my partners with me. I got the preaching coach himself, uh, tuned in. You look like you got a little cut up. You cut yourself up, or did you skip out of sixth rule for the beard?
We ain't skip. Hey, yo, we getting close though. Shout out to my barber J Rock. My boy J Rock is definitely cutting from the garage. And if push comes to shove, we got to make sure that this beard continues to flourish during the quarantine, even if I am in the house. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah.
I ain't going nowhere, but hey, look, we still gonna be right.
Is he gonna be able to pull up? I need a Powerade or something.
Ooh, pull up where?
You gonna be able to pull up to cut you up?
No, I would have to pull up to him.
Oh, that's a little. That's a little. Oh no.
Hey,
I don't know.
that's why. Hey, look,
Yeah.
that's why we a month in and we still ain't still ain't got no cut. So this is compliments of my own hands.
My cut is not. This cut is not relative to a barbershop. I've been cutting my hair for at least 8 years now. I think at least 8 years now I've been cutting my hair. So yeah, we don't need to go to a barbershop. We're good on this and that really is leading me like right into that first point is really sustainability. So of course we're a whole bunch of creatives, we're a whole bunch of people that have vision, we're a whole bunch of people that have ideas and things that we want to do. And we all left 2019 like, you know, great setup year. We're going into a crazy year. We about to go.
Is my year, right?
2020 is my 2020 vision. I can see now. I can see clearly. The rain has fallen. So we all had a great synopsis of what we were going to do for 2020. And then COVID-19 smacked us in the face.
For sure.
At first, it seemed like, dude, real talk. At first, it really felt like I don't know, man. At first, I think a couple people, but it was, athletes coming back from overseas. It was, players coming back. And that was the first installment. And I don't think we really thought nothing of it. I'm thinking we just like, yo, it's getting crazy in China. And then the next thing we know, like that thing is circulating everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's been straight pandemonium since then. And here we are in the midst of a pandemic. And for some of us, well, not for some of us, for all of us, this is different, yo. This is different. This is weird. What are your thoughts on what's going on with this whole entire virus and this whole situation?
Left field. Speaking of which, just probably a couple of days ago, did a devotional with my students. My 6th, 7th, 8th grade students at Atlanta Youth Academy, and part of the devotion was talking about understanding how plans can get knocked off course. It was a disheartening moment, to have conversation with my kids and, to share that, we did like this kind of article where they had to read and learn about COVID-19 and kind of share their thoughts on what it's like to be quarantined at home. And, one of the girls just kind of mentioned that, hey, it sucks for me. Like my birthday is next week. Ideally, I would have been at school. You know how it was back in the day when you in school and it's your birthday, everybody singing happy birthday, getting, dollars from everybody, this, that, and the third. And it's like,
yeah,
now I'm celebrating that, like looking at the mirror and looking at myself. Like that's like plans, spring break, graduations, like all types of plans have been just knocked out of the way. It just kind of blown out of the way. But sharing the scripture that man has plans on their hearts, but it's God that orders our steps. And so how can we come into this period where our personal plans have been disabled, so to speak, and then now begin to walk into some steps that were established? Like how do you follow behind, again, just throwing that faith out there, because it's just extremely important at this time. How do you begin to walk behind God during this time where absolutely everything is pretty much uncertain in every field? Whether you're an entrepreneur, you're an athlete, you're a business owner, you're a school teacher, you're a student, you're a child, whatever your role is, whatever hat that you wear.
Yeah,
a lot of things are uncertain, and you have to worry about not only the right now, but then you also got to worry about the post quarantine. But
I don't think that's enough
we
attention.
talked about this earlier about the ability to be able to sustain, because quite easily in this time, a lot of folks can regress. Once you get out of that normal day-to-day flow, you get, kind of docile a little bit for a few days. You can begin to regress into some old habits. But the ability to be able to sustain, and how do we do that, is an important thing to kind of share, kind of talk about.
Man, I think that's exactly why we're here. But in the same breath, just like I said earlier, I do not want it to seem like we got on here because we have the answers. That is not why we're here. We are here to simply start up a community for ourselves, a community of creatives, a community of entrepreneurs, of photographers, videographers, whatever the case may be. That's why we started this up. Who hopped in?
Oh no, one of the kids I coach. It's just good to see him. What's up, RJ?
So that's why we're here. Whatever questions you have, concerns you have, even ideas you have, some things that you've been doing, please comment, please share. That's what this is about. We'll be enhancing that soon, but this is all about all of us helping each other. I have no answers. I struggle day to day. And so I think that's the honest answer to your question, bro, is I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really sure how we really, it's an echo. What side do you think the echo is coming from?
Maybe let me mute this. I don't know why.
Because I did put a AirPod in. Yeah, that might be you.
There it is.
Is it out?
Sound like it.
But yeah, I mean, to that question, I have no answer. Every day I have a new pattern. Every day I'm trying to figure something else out. Like every day, like I don't get it. Smooth, tell me if it's still on there. Cause he said it might be done. So let me know. Every day it's switching from I'm not sleeping at the same time every night. Sometimes I'm not sleeping at night at all, just to be honest. It is weird. I cannot figure it out. But I think the most important thing is doing something every day. I think there's nothing else more important than that. Is at the very least establishing a schedule. Um, Still there. I don't know whose that is.
I'm gonna have to come out the live. It's probably
It might be.
at the same time.
It could be. It could be this
It's
AirPod.
gonna be a delay.
Hold up. Nah, that's even worse. It's on your end. It's on your end because when that came out, it got even worse. If you're having a problem on here, we are live on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and type in Upward Now, we are live on YouTube. But yeah, so I think it's about figuring it out every day. But most of all, I think it's about just keeping that work up. Honestly, it's honestly just going to boil down to finding some kind of consistency and getting things done. Are
um, typically when you're kind of stuck in, a position as such as you guys are now, like you're forced to be creative in a way that you've never had to be before. Um, it's clear like there's some kind of gap that's created, like out of the fact that you're used to going out. It's like, okay, how am I able to still do what I do, but now do it from the confines of my home? Like you got to find new avenues, new ways to advertise, to market, to get things done, so to speak. Or this could be a building season for yourself. It may not necessarily be about finding new streams, trying to immediate new streams of income, but it could be a building season right now, and it may be a building season for a lot of us. Remember, the caption for this whole thing was, kind of this catch up season. You kind of
right.
behind the 8 ball a little bit, and now you got some time where you can not necessarily catch your breath. Well, to some degree you can, but you might be able to stretch out, how long you have to kind of compete in this race. So faith is extremely important because now, we're seeking direction, we're seeking understanding, we're seeking clarity. There's a lot of things that we're trying to kind of fight and battle through. There's no run of the mill of anything right now, like absolutely at all. There's no run of the mill right now. This should not be, as I try and tell my students, this is not a snow day. We should not be at the house just chilling. Like, no, there should be some thought, some type of routine to like, and I agree with you said, some constant routine to your day, some constant soul searching, more now than ever. people have the opportunity to face themselves on a day-to-day basis. I know I've had a chance to face insecurities, to face fears, to face weaknesses, but also to face strengths, to face all the positive things coming up in my life as well. Um, and to figure out like what are we going to do for that? Um, so yeah, that would be my necessary response for that, is that you have a void that you have to kind of feel like you have to try and replace. Similar to when you kind of go through Lent and you got to give up a part of yourself to be able to be filled with God, right? So now here
Yeah.
you are in this scenario, you've been removed from the ability to kind of go back and forth. So now what do we replace that with? What other gift are you able to discover? What other part of yourself are you able to unearth and train during this particular time to get, to get even better at? I mean, there's so many access to resources, so many things that folks can do that you may not have known before that you can learn how to improve upon right now. I mean,
Yeah.
I know some creators are out rebranding themselves.
Yeah. I
They're
mean, a whole rebrand.
Yeah, full rebrands, just trying to find like, hey, this is the time where I can sit back and I can get all my processes and get all this stuff together so that when post corona hits, we can roll it out. If it doesn't roll out before that, but there's at the end of the day, what pops up in this is the word opportunity.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you took us right into the meat of this conversation, which is pretty much the fact that this is our chance to catch up for many of us. Many of us that have been saying, such and such is there and I'm here, such and such is there and I'm here. This is the perfect opportunity for us to catch up. And it's not going to be, it's not light. It's going to take work. It's also going to take a plan. But how do you feel about that subject? I mean, we were talking the other day, and that's where the basis for this whole situation came about, is the fact that this is an amazing time to take 2 or 3 strides where normally it would have been 1 or 2 strides, or 4 or 5 strides, just depending on how much you're willing to put in. Like, what are you willing to do to make up the difference before we get out of this pandemic? Talk to me a little bit on that.
Bro, it's almost like a time lapse has been slapped on everybody's life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you record something and you just got that one little part of the film that just kind of really stretches itself out, everybody got slapped with a time lapse right now.
Yeah.
So that's another great way of putting it. Like where you may have been able to take 1 or 2 strides, now you're able to take 3 or 4. So what are you doing with those 3 or 4 strides? On a call earlier today with some of the boys with TSF, TSF Mac 2022, just kind of expressing to some of those guys that, right now, you would have been playing ball, you would have been hooping. We would have been in and out of tournaments practicing. You may have done like performance training or skill training, 2, 3 times out the week, right? Outside of like normal team practice. Now you have
Right.
the opportunity to do that essentially 7 days a week. And on some days, twice a day. Like there's literally at this point, nothing holding you back from attempting to be as great as you potentially can. Absolutely none. So it takes willpower, because now you don't have access to the performance trainers, you don't have access to the recovery specialists, you don't have access to the skill trainers. So you don't have access to that extra voice. Well, I mean, virtually, guys are making a way, obviously, but now you don't have that additional voice in your head or in front of you, behind you, wherever it may be, to kind of push you forward. So now it's all really left on you about, developing your willpower. Can you go outside and say, all right, bet this week I ran 2 miles every single day. Can you make sure that next week you end up running 3? All this week, every day I did 10 sprints. Well, next week, are you able to push yourself to doing 15 sprints? I mean, being able to push yourself and push your limit on a day-to-day basis, because you don't have anybody to rely on entirely but yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's a hard pill to swallow, but you were able to find out and dig really deep within yourself and understand how strong you really are. And so whoever is able to best capture that it's going to provide the opportunity to catch up. Now, some are going to take that and catch up, and then you're going to have some that's in a position where, shoot, they're going to ride off into the wind. They were already up ahead, and they just finna just
right.
But now, some of us who may have been a couple, I don't even want to say behind, but just maybe late to the game, still kind of development, still kind of, again, a time lapse has been given to me. Now I get to stretch this thing on out, and I get to say, well, when the doors open again, when I get to walk back outside, when they say I'm how am I getting ready to perform? How am I getting ready to care of myself? And that's all contingent upon right here. So from an athlete, that's been the biggest one from an athlete standpoint. Now you may be to say, what does it look like catching up from a creative standpoint, from an entrepreneur, as a businessman? What does that look like? But just speaking in coaches' terms, and even from an academic standpoint, dealing with students, you're dealing with that same thing as well.
Yeah. I would say the same. I think it really comes down to a mental battle. So my echo in there is terrible. I don't know where that's coming from.
I may have to have it.
Probably Instagram and what you call it. I feel like it's better with the AirPod. I'm gonna just stick with that. But I feel like I think the same to it though. I think it is more a mental battle than anything else. Off the fact that he's tuned out. So what I'm gonna do is say something right quick.
Yeah.
All right, they'll be able to hear you off of there. But it's more so a mental battle to where you gotta fight through. Like you gotta figure out. Honestly, this is a season it'll show you what's more important to you. Like it'll show you your priorities. It'll show you what's important. Like for me, for example, right now I have to honestly say, like sustainability is the most important thing to me. Because clearly how I'm prioritizing my time, that's where I'm prioritizing more of my efforts. Like it's in most of the things that I've got to get done from a day-to-day basis. Just for me personally, when the pandemic started, that didn't end the workload that I had. I still have a crazy workload. That's leading into the pandemic. So for me, I'm still working. And do I have other things that I'm supposed to be doing? I'm just able to find that, that zone, that area to where I can finally branch off and do this and do that and do this and do that and kind of like prioritize, but also be focusing on other things at the same time, be able to stream those attention pieces into different areas to be able to create more. So I'm just getting into that, and we're 3-4 weeks in.
Yeah.
If that, probably a little bit, either we're somewhere around a month in.
Yeah.
And I am just now being able to be like, this is where I am. This is where I can put my energy. It's taking a minute. Of course, that's not everybody's testimony. Some people will, wake up, go to work, wake up, go to work. And then one day it was like, you ain't coming to work today. And they just been at the crib.
Yeah.
How does that person mentally sustain, like, while being at home? Like, what is my mindset at home when I'm always out, when I'm always going to work, when 9 to 5 is my schedule? What do I do with my time now? How do I create? How do I make good on the things that I know I should be good at, or just in generally on certain projects that I know I've been thinking to do? How do I make good on that now? Is this a good time to try to make good on it? Or do I just, sit back, cross my arms, and just, wait on the stimulus check? What do I do right now?
I mean, there's probably a lot that you can do. And I'm pretty sure a lot that you already have been doing. But I mean, the repeating word is kind of that discipline and making sure that you have some type of a routine that kind of keeps you going from a day to day. I mean, a lot of us are exceptionally blessed. You mentioned about there are some people who are in a position where they have to they're still getting up and having to go to work every single day. So, thankfully they do have those two jobs. But for those of us who, have had to be, to be quarantined or had to be shut down, so to speak, and move back home, it's a search. it's a really a search. It's a grind. I mean, it's a reflection period. And I know that sounds very dry. It doesn't sound sexy. It sounds very boring, as far as like what you're really doing with your time. But that's important. Like, I mean, I think about how much one of the biggest, I tell you for myself, one of the biggest adjustments that I had was learning how to sit still. I mean,
Yeah.
my story from just moving from, I mean, I don't necessarily move at your pace, but moving from, working a full school day with kids to leaving there. Then I may, work out myself. Then I may either have practice or, I'm taking a taco to go get some type of skill training development somewhere. Then I'm meeting up here to, have this quick meeting, and then, it's back to the crib. Like constantly leaving the house at 7:30 in the morning and then not getting back home until after 10:30. Now, of course, other people are doing something similar, but to that first, it was weird just being able to sit still. But
Right.
what all comes with being able to sit still? I mean, your ability to be able to, for your senses to open up, for things that you didn't see to become, for you to be able to become more aware, for talents that you had to become more visible to you, for what you want to be, more clear to, to be more understanding to you. So, I mean, there you have to find some value in the stillness. You have to find some value in kind of, operating in a different mode. It doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean it's uncomfortable, something that you're not necessarily used to, but you've got to be able to find um, a blessing. You got to be able to find that silver lining. You got to be able to take that lemon and make lemonade out of that stillness. And that was the most special thing to me, to sit down and just kind of like, okay, I got a slower morning. My day moves a little bit slower. There's just opportunity for me to kind of gauge a lot of different things. So um, hopefully in your boat, you know, you're able to, tackle projects with a little bit more tenacity. Whereas you could have been, been able to do one or two projects a day. Now you can knock out three or four projects a day. I
You
mean,
would think so. And this right here is about to be me being like extremely transparent. You would think that that's what would be happening right now. You would think I finished all the work I've ever had to do over the course of the last month. But the truth of the matter is, it's the complete opposite. For me, I'm always out. I'm out, shooting or doing this or doing that, meeting here, this, that, and the third. And then by the time I get to the crib, for some reason, I'm good at working under pressure. Like the more pressure you find, the better I'm going to get.
mm,
Um, so this is weird. I have all the time in the world to work. I have all the room and space and mobility and whatever else to work. I've got everything available to me. However, it's like being able to find that stillness in work, being able to find that concentration, being able to find that um what can I say? Just being able to find a moment, being able to create and space out a moment to where I can say, okay, here we are, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. It seems almost impossible. And on a day-to-day basis, that's why I say I've kind of realized where my priority is, and it's really kind of substance, because the fact of the matter is all of the new stuff that comes in, that stuff is getting finished. But all of the stuff that's been on hold, or all of the projects that have been like, this can happen next, this can be worked on. It's like it's still where it was at to begin with. And so for me, in just the most honest way I can put it, is like I haven't really got ahead yet. I
mm.
still haven't found a place where, right now meets, the future, and I'm able to push past there. I still haven't found that for myself personally. I just haven't. And so it is super tough.
So
Super, super tough.
I mean, I think to your point, and that everybody went through that.
That's
Depending on when, you,
what's good.
depending on when you started staying from home, having
Right.
to go through that adjustment period.
Right.
Like some people are just now getting their engine started. Like I first, like you're saying, some people had to first just deal with the fact that Man, I'm waking up to the same thing every single day.
Yeah.
And you gotta sit there and go through it. I ain't gonna lie, I had my breakthrough um shoot just this past week on spring break. I had came downstairs to get ready to work out. We got this standing rule in my house that, well, since the quarantine, that the workout shoes stay downstairs because that's the stuff that's outside. So we don't bring the outside shoes in, right? So I'm downstairs sitting on the bottom of my steps in my garage changing my shoes, and my body just literally went numb, and I just sat there and still I couldn't get up. And the question in my head, I was getting ready to exercise. The question in my head was like, well, why am I working out? For what? What for?
You about to raise a really, really great point.
Like I don't like it's like what's the point? And so it started with that question, but then it spiraled into the number of things that I was ultimately unable to do. The next immediate thing that I thought about was my kids, was my students.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, for me, just like some people, is that shuffle and go. Like my norm is connection.
Yeah.
I'm not able to connect with anybody. I'm not able to offer a word of encouragement. I'm not able to shake hands. I'm not able to put my arm around somebody's shoulder. I'm not able to say, yeah, you can do this. No, we're not doing that. We're changing this. Like my whole life has been centered around, inspiring kids, inspiring a younger generation. And now I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't pour. I'm so used to pouring out. And so I've had to learn. Probably the biggest thing I learned in that lesson was, all right, so I'm going to have to deal with this. But I had to learn that now I have the opportunity to really pour back in. People have said that to me before, walking around like, Chris, you never take care of yourself. Like, what's going on with you? You never take care of yourself. Like, you're always busy giving something to somebody else. What are you going to do about yourself?
Yeah.
Even when I was sitting there talking to you and I was telling you about, the conversation about whether I'm heading back to Miller Grove or not. And just in full disclosure.
Right.
And you answering that question ain't got nothing to do with my opinion or what somebody else says. It's going to ultimately boil down with you understanding what you want to do for yourself.
Absolutely.
What it is that you ultimately want. And if that doesn't fall in line with what you ultimately want, then it's going to be an easy decision for you. You ain't going to sit and second guess it anymore.
Right.
And so having that, I think everybody's kind of goes through that first adjustment period where that's what's going on. Like, shoot, my norm has been completely knocked off. Now let me accept the norm, and what am I going to do with that norm now? So you're right. Your engine may have just kicked into gear, and I would hope for anybody that's watching that your engine has started kicking back into gear. That you've understood, like, okay, now let's take them instead of them 1 or 2. Going back to what you said, we take them. What are those 3 or 4 extra strides going to look like right now?
Right. You raised early in that answer. You raised a point that was like so perfect. The point is, what is the point of doing what I'm doing if everything around me is going on? If this is truly the beginning of the end, if this is truly, the end of the age, if this is truly everything is supposed to be and the world is ending, what is the point of staying in shape? What's the point of eating right? What's the point of working on my business? What is the point of doing all that? And that's where I had this epiphany, I believe yesterday or the day before. A whole month in, I just came to this point that I'm about to say like yesterday, which is the fact that this is the time where what you're doing, God needs you doing that. Because if you want to quit, what's going to happen is you're going to think about everybody that you affect by doing what you do. And when you realize you can't quit on behalf of someone else, and you know that what you're doing is necessary, you just can't quit. I think this season is definitely revelatory for, if you need to be doing what you're doing or not. And like you said, it's that whole questioning is all about you facing yourself and being like, look, man, like I might not be doing what I need to be doing right now. I might not be in the space that I need to be in. I might need to pivot right now, or I might be exactly where I need to be, but I should be further ahead.
Yeah.
And these are the things that I should have been doing that I can now incorporate because I've now got X and X and X amount of time. It's definitely a reset button supreme. This
That word, I've used that. Like there's yes, reset. I mean,
is the reset
I don't
button
go
supreme.
ahead, go ahead. Reset, yeah.
You and then in moments like I don't know what it is for people in relationships. I know for someone that's single, you think about some of the mistakes you made. You think about some of the situations that have either slipped or that you messed up. You know, whatever the case may be, you're thinking about different things to where it's like, this could have been this way, this could have been that way. You understand that it could have went so many different ways, and those are other moments where you gotta hit the reset button. You gotta
Yeah.
in that moment be like, you know what? It went how it went, but this is where I am now.
Facts.
And that is so important. Like there is nothing more important in this season than keeping your head up. I don't know what you gotta say to I know you have something for that, but that was like I think yesterday, man, and I never felt as whole as I felt until yesterday. And in the morning, I didn't go to sleep till like 5. I had my darkest moment this whole pandemic at that time, around 5 in the morning yesterday. Uh, man, I thought about everything. I thought about everything in the world,
Mm.
and that was really a moment for me where I had to go. You know what? This is what you need to be doing. If you stop doing what you're doing, just I couldn't imagine thinking about all the lives I affect by saying that it's not worth it anymore because of a pandemic. I can't even sit there and think about it. I really can't come up with a number of the amount of people that I really affect in one way or another if I shut down because of a pandemic. So that's how I know I'm where I'm supposed to be at. I know I'm planted where I'm supposed to be. And I know that I can't just be planted there. I've got to cultivate it while I'm here. And that's the whole point of this creative talk. What you got to say, man?
Um, no, I mean, one word that circled way before we landed here was purpose.
Yeah,
I mean, it's life's ultimate question, about what's your purpose. Now is a better time than any to be able to understand, to be able to discover like what that purpose is. Again, I keep going back to this opportunity to reflect and kind of think back. I mean, you either you're pivoting, you're changing and moving in a different direction, or you just have to take the chance to kind of reset yourself. Everybody's message or everybody's revelation, let me say that.
right.
Everybody's revelation for themselves is going to be different at this point because everybody's circumstance is different. Um,
Agree.
Even having to make that differentiation again, going back to the classroom with students, understanding that every family is not on the same page. Every family is facing different challenges. Every individual, down to the youngest child and to the oldest adult, is facing a different challenge. We're hit with the same circumstance, but the impact is different for everybody. So because the impact is different for everybody, the message or what's going to be revealed to everyone is going to be different at this particular point. I mean, I one of the biggest things I know I spoke of to myself was that hope that I hope that people become better post quarantine.
Post quarantine.
I hope people become better. Like there should not be no, we should not be the same. Like there's going to be a new normal. There's going to be some differences. There are going to be some changes. I just hope that we are better as people. I hope we're able to understand how much of a global community we are. I hope we're able to understand how valuable relationships are. I hope we're able to understand the beauty and connection and relating to other people. It's extremely invaluable, and of course, you always hate to learn that it takes something catastrophic like this to be able to understand that.
Right.
To be
Right.
able to understand my ability to be able to connect with somebody is so important to share and to have sympathy and also share and to be empathetic. Like all of these soft skills and these emotions and our ability to connect with each other as human beings, extremely invaluable. extremely valuable. I mean, we should be able to look at. Now, I'm not gonna say we're gonna come out and it's gonna be all, you know, rainbows and butterflies and cookies and cakes. Like, I'm not saying that that's what's gonna happen, but should there be a better understanding of how you view your neighbor, of how you view
Right.
the person that's standing next to you, even though you
Right.
may not know their first and last name? It's
I
something.
think I
It's
think
something
this
to understand.
definitely changes the kind of, it redefines family. Let me put it that way. I think that's the best way I could put it. It redefines the idea of family for sure. Because you are now constricted to your family.
Yeah,
Now, mind you, and I'm not gonna do nothing but be honest. That's all I'm gonna ever be. Uh Pre-pandemic, pre-quarantine, pre-COVID-19, I was almost never home. You know me personally, you know
yeah,
this.
yeah,
I am almost never ever home, almost never. And so this has been different. I remember the last time I was home like this was when I was homeschooled in high school. Like let's break that down. This is 10 years ago
yeah,
at least. And so like it is redefining what's important, is redefining the people around you. You're looking at people differently, you're looking at your family differently. There's more interaction. While I can say that I may not have pushed branding or working or whatever the case, I may not have pushed that as far as I would want to. I have been way more interactive with my family than I've been. Bro, you know me, I haven't been home for 2 consecutive days in years. You know this to be a fact.
yeah.
um,
No, you're always on the run, and your
most
parents, mom and dad, be blowing up the phone. It'd be, yeah,
Right. Most people that know me know that to be fact. Like if you get me home for 2 days in a row, that's amazing. You've done you've done something great. And so I say that to say this is different. It redefines like communication, it redefines family, it redefines the idea of person to person. Not saying that when I go out, I'm not interacting with people, but the idea of the close knitness, if that's a word, of the family and of the people that you're immediately surrounded with. Because if you notice, you're not talking most of the time these days with, you know, like a random person or whoever else. Like for the most part, you're talking these days with the people that are the closest to you. Like the people
yeah,
that reach out to you are, family based, friend based, community based. Or if you have long standing business relationship that has become family, then that as well. But for the most part, you're not just talking to everybody right now. All your attention is focused in on yourself, your family, and your immediate surrounding. So this time is definitely like it's even prioritizing what we're thinking as far as people and
yeah.
who we're talking to and what we're letting into our circle.
No, I think that's a very valid point. Family is one thing that I looked at for myself. Um, how much time I spend with my folks and things like that. Even taking, just the routine, and like one of the things that I do, every day is I try and make sure I make time to go walking with my mom and my little brother every evening. Once she's clocked out doing what she does, and she's got her little watch on and she's trying to get her steps in and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, all right, let's go for this walk, and having the opportunity, even in silence. Sometimes the walk is just us being together, because it's just not often that's the case. Even where I do my work on day to day, to work in a cubicle, so to speak, right across from, my mom, and be right across from my dad, and my brother be in the other room, and we're all, kind of working together. Like, that's invaluable time that you use not to take for granted. Even today,
Sure.
you know, in the kitchen, cooking stuff, and my mom, we had some red potatoes that were getting ready to go bad, and so she's like, "Oh, we need to salvage these before things get crazy,
Right.
before we can't use them." And so she started cutting them, and then I went and grabbed a knife, and she's like, "Yo, what you gonna do with this knife?" Well, I'm finna sit here and cut potatoes with my mom. Like, that's what I'm gonna,
Right.
and we finna roast these potatoes like that. That's so, like, even those little things like that
Yeah.
I don't, and I've talked to you about, getting, I'm finally being able to be in a position where I can, financially get into a place of my own. Uh, this is invaluable time for me.
Yeah.
Because once this thing lifts,
Post pandemic, you're out.
Post pandemic, I'm out. you know, bachelor pad supreme for the preaching coach. Like it's about to go up seriously. But right as it is right now, we're definitely going to enjoy it. We're definitely going to enjoy family. And I think that's one more thing to add to that list as far as how we get through this point is how do we spend more time with our family and constantly in prayer. Because this is something I spoke to somebody else about is being in prayer for kids or people who may be in broken homes right now.
Bro, that's something that's been tearing me up. That's like on a personal note, because of course my family has never been that kind of family. But we can't act like that kind of family doesn't exist. And that's something that's been tearing me, like kids that going out in activities. Like you'll even hear testimonies. They're like, yeah, I get myself into as many activities as possible so I can not be home.
Yeah.
And now they've got no choice but to
be home.
Is one of the worst things. This pandemic blows over on so many other situations. Like it's not just don't catch COVID-19, stay away from the coronavirus, put on your mask and wear your gloves. It's not just that. It's more than that. It's to the fact that like people are in dire situations in their home and they can't escape it. Due to the coronavirus, they can't get out. Like they're stuck in there. And that's one thing. Cause for me, I'm not missing any meals. Like my family is there. If I need time to myself, I got it. If I want to be with my family, I got it. So I'm not losing anything from the virus, but families where wives are used to being, whatever the case may be, and children, those kind of what can we even call that? Just dire family dynamics.
Yeah.
Bro, that situation gets a prayer from me every single day because it's hard to stomach that.
Extremely hard. And that's the part that in that strive to catch up, you realize that there are some people who aren't in that position to do just that. They've had prior conditions.
Yeah.
Looking at what the coronavirus is doing to people with prior health conditions. So people are walking into a damaging, physical environment that was created. They have no control over. This coronavirus coming in and just blowing, slapping us in the face with a pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
Whether it was whether the condition was alcoholism, whether the condition was some type of mental health issue, whether the condition was an abusive spouse and an abusive guardian or parent.
Agreed.
Like all of these, like there's like it's hard to kind of move. I know on a day-to-day basis, knowing that that's what's going on. Thinking about single parents who are having, whose grocery bills are now just like skyrocketing through the roof. Single parents who still have to work and are having to find like a babysitter for a child that you cannot leave. You cannot leave a 7-year-old at home by themselves. Like there's so many of these little itty bitty things that you don't really think about that are, again, pre-existing conditions that this virus has just kind of amplified.
Yeah.
And so it requires a sense of faith. It requires a sense of prayer from those in certain positions and trying to be able to service those folks. And then because of the virus, you can't reach out and help. You stand in, for those who can't, or to some extent, you are stuck from being able to physically come in and do what it is that you need in certain cases. So
there's no aid.
It's a challenging time. And so hopefully for myself is to understand and better appreciate or be grateful for those outside relationships, those people, those kids that I know, that are those kids that I know that are beyond, outside of my family that may not be in a damaging home, but that have a relationship with me in some capacity, to make sure that I take more care into some of those relationships and the value, because they lean on you for a reason. and you as well, from the guys that that you train, the guys that you recorded, done film for, all those different types of things. So um, a lot of issues that are still bubbling in the air, but at the end of the day, for those who are watching, continue to stay in prayer, continue to stay safe, continue to spend time with your family, but don't forget about yourself and find a way to push through and to catch up. So you come out this thing and you can come out the gate running and not come out the gate, walking.
Yeah.
But I believe in the statement. When I said we're gonna get through this together. Yeah, we're gonna get through this together. We just have to operate we may have to operate individually, but
Right.
individual efforts will lead to a corporate goal.
Right.
Success.
We're gonna all get out together. But how we get there is almost every man for himself. But you really do have to. It's coming to the idea, which is the community. We gotta check on each other. We gotta keep each other. I might be low on a day where you're high, and on
Yeah.
that day, if you're low and I'm high, on that day I'm making it my prerogative to pull you up. There's no way I'm gonna see you low and leave you there. We're gonna pull you up. We're gonna make sure that you get to the place where you need to be at. Of course, this is a business setting. This is a corporate more so setting. But I just believe in prayer. I believe I'm a faith man, of course. And so if you would, you also are you're a whole preaching coach. But if you would pray us out of here, um, and
For sure.
give us a word, so where people can, whoever tunes in, they can get some inspiration from this, going into whatever they're doing.
Yeah, man. Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to just come together and talk. We thank you for another day of life. We thank you for the sun that shined brightly this morning. We thank you for the cool breeze that kind of moves through the air. We thank you for our health, and we thank you for the continued protection that you provided for us. Lord, we pray for those who are without right now, those who may be without a home, that may be struggling with remaining safe, that may be without that close friend. Lord, I ask that you provide protection, and I ask you provide comfort and you provide peace. Help us to individually do our jobs. Help us to individually take care of ourselves and spend more time with you, to put ourselves in a position where we can work better together, as a global community, as a global brother and sisterhood, serving one another and loving our neighbor. We thank you for your continued blessing and you just watching over our household. And we just pray for a quick end, and a slow rollout, and that we are able to adjust ourselves to a new normal in how we relate to one another. These and other blessings we ask in your son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for tuning in. We're gonna try to get another one up soon. Um, like I said, this is the beginning of just us working on starting up a community, and hopefully we're able to really do something that can last post pandemic. That is the goal. Leaving something up. Want to be able to, have musicians be able to come in and talk to each other, and have videographers, photographers, business owners, facility managers be able to come and in their communities help each other out on a daily basis. And that's really the goal. Preaching coach Chris Jones, thank you again for giving up some of your time. And so we appreciate you. We're gonna get off of here, but once again, thank you. I don't know if you got anything else you want to say. Get off your chest, get off your mind. If all hearts and minds are clear,
Now y'all go ahead and follow me at the Preacher Coach on Instagram and Twitter. Gotta throw that
shameless
tag
plug.
in there. Reach out. You need anything? If you need prayer, you need that coach's assistance, whatever you need, Preacher Coach is ready to provide. Just let me know what it is, and we can get to it.
I'm weak. Well, do what he said, but we're out of here. Y'all be safe, please. I'm not giving any instructions on masks and gloves and all that. Just follow what the CDC says. Whatever whatever they say, do that. But be safe. And like he said, take that time to be with your families and find some time to create. Find that mindset, that mind frame, that moment. And when you finally get in that mood, attack. It's beast mode. We'll talk to you later.